Good afternoon. Welcome to KUMB TV's Eyes Up Mother Brown. We are back for another Premier League season. The 2023-24 campaign kicks off for the Hammers this afternoon down on the South Coast at the Vitality Stadium against AFC Bournemouth. The game has just kicked off. There we go. Good to see you all. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're feeling fit. Had a good summer. I'm hoping to be joined very soon by Rio. Good afternoon. Welcome to KUMB TV's Eyes Up Mother Brown. We are back for another Premier League season. There we go. Something's never changed. Still talking to myself. Hope you're well. Anyway, as I was saying, thank you to everyone joining us live on the stream. And yeah, we're back. We're back. Are we confident, though? This is another question. See a little bit of dissatisfaction amongst the ranks with regards to a lack of new signings. Although we have, of course, had one over the line now. Excuse me a moment. That's better. Edson Alvarez signing from Ajax last week, coming into the team. Sorry, bear with me a second. Just a couple of minor updates required. There we go. That's a bit better. Anyway, the game has kicked off down at the Vitality Stadium. As you say, AFC Bournemouth versus West Ham United FC. You can see the teams behind me there on the screen. Run through the West Ham team very quickly. Change, of course, in goal. Alphonse Areola preferred this afternoon to Lucas Fabianski. Captaincy given. We've been waiting, haven't we, to see who was going to be given the captaincy following the departure of Declan Rice. And there it is, Kurt Zouma. Being given the armband this afternoon. West Ham on our screens, kicking from left to right, playing in our new all-white kit. Not this one, this is an old one, but an all-white kit side. Benrahma on the ball just to the left of the penalty box. Looks to swing a crossover, gets a deflection. Kind of half comes over, and Pablo Fornals has the first effort of the new season. Hooks one towards goal. It's just wide of the if its intended target, and will go out for a Bournemouth goal kick. Rest of the team. So Soufal and Emerson at fullback, Zouma and Aguerd at centre half, Souček, Paquetá and Fornals forming the three-man midfield, and Bowen and Benrahma flanking Michail Antonio. So not much change really for West Ham. No new players on the bench, either Fabianski on the bench, Anang, second goalkeeper on the bench, Tilo Kehrer, Ben Johnson, Angelo Ogbonna, Maxwell Cornet, Danny Ings, Connor Coventry and Divine Mubama forming the nine-man bench. No place on the bench today for Edson Alvarez. No place for fellow new signing who we're just waiting to confirm, really, James Ward-Prowse, who's coming from Southampton for around £30 million. What do you think of that? Good signing? Let us know. Let me know what you think, folks. I've just got to get Rio on. Sorry. Apologies. I'm all over the place here. First day back. And I'm going to try to remember where everything is. There he is. Rio, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
You too, mate. You too. Another summer, isn't it?
It has been. Hang on, let me just get you in the right place. Hang on a second. Let's get you over here a bit. Zoom you over this side. Yeah, what a summer. Been busy in the transfer window, haven't we? Not as the case.
Immensely busy. As you can tell by the near 2,000 pages on a transfer fed. You know? That's only one signing per £500,000, you know?
Madness, isn't it? Madness. Are you confident we're going to pull out one or two rabbits from the hat before the end of the transfer window?
I'm adamant we're going to get at least two, if not three new faces in. It's just frustrating the way that we go about our business. But football's a complex game nowadays. There's a lot of legal things involved. As I posted on the forum, yes, we've got a director of football. Yes, we've got scouts galore doing some kind of job somewhere. But every other decent club in the world has got that same kind of network in operation. And because we're not, we have a few quid in our pocket at the moment, it doesn't make things easier for us.
No, For sure, for sure. It's certainly all the prices seem to be inflated. Done. We'll come back to that in a second. We've just seen Jarrod Bowen drive through the centre of the pitch and unleash a shot that dragged a little bit just wide. But good start for the Hammers. Two efforts on goal already so far. Just 5 minutes gone here at the Vitality Stadium. Edson Alvarez, Rio, any thoughts on that one?
He's the kind of player we desperately need. I did a little bit of homework on him. His stats for Ajax been really good. Fulcrum for the Mexican national side is hard as nails, apparently. It breaks up play very nicely. Exactly what we need to replace someone who once played for us and I don't like talking about anymore. Exactly the signing we need. We obviously need 1 or 2 faces alongside him to augment him, but I'm very happy with it, and I think it's a very decent price for him.
Emerson breaking down the left-hand side, tries to put a crossover. Ball bounces up in the air, wins it back again, but Bournemouth managing to clear the lines. It's all West Ham at the moment. It's been a good start for the Hammers. Yeah, what are we about 35 million, we think the price is. I think it's 38 million euros rising to 41, isn't it? If certain clauses are met, and that's according to Ajax, who released that information. So about 35 million pounds. Just seeing Bournemouth attack. First chance for them. Solanke with the ball on the edge of the box, but it's actually Jarrod Bowen who's come all the way back to do some great defensive work. Edson Alvarez through. Obviously not playing today. Rio, I guess it's no surprise there, really, is there? We know David Moyes likes to take a little bit of time to bed the players in.
Yeah, well, he flew over. I think it was on Tuesday. He didn't actually sign until Thursday. So, our medicals take 3 days. So actually bedding the player in properly is going to take about 8 months.
Yes. Yeah, well, I mean, that was kind of evidence last season, wasn't it, a bit, really? Another new player, almost certainly, we know he's coming in. We're just waiting for the confirmation, really. Medical done, fee agreed, player terms agreed. James Ward-Prowse from Southampton. This one's sort of not been met, perhaps, with as much as enthusiasm as the Alvarez signing. What are your thoughts on that, Rio?
We know that David Moyes liked someone with a little bit of Premiership experience. In Ward-Prowse, you've got someone who's the captain of his club, very adept at set pieces, as we all know. He's not one of these players who stands off the page and grabs you by the scruff neck and thinks, oh, I watched him have a great game. But he's a solid 7 out of 10 player, week in, week out. And we do need those kind of characters around the squad. So, again, I'm more than happy for him to come in. It's not exciting, but he's exactly the kind of character we need.
Yeah, I think one of the issues we had there was losing Rice, potentially Cresswell, maybe even Michail Antonio. We're very, very short, aren't we, on homegrown players? Yeah. So I guess he kind of fills that particular niche as well, doesn't he? But how strong we've been at set pieces the last couple of seasons. That can only bode well, can't it? With some of his pedigree, whipping them into the box, eh? Yeah,
exactly. I mean, we've seen, apart from Aaron Cresswell popping up every now and then, we haven't seen. We got spoilt by the Paya era, didn't we? Every time he got a free kick, you just knew it was going in the back of the net. So if James Ward-Prowse can kind of bring a little bit more certainty in terms of goal supply from midfield, again, I can't see how people can view it so negatively at the moment. He's not exciting, no, but as I said, he's a solid performer, a leader, adept at set pieces, and as you rightly say, for the UEFA quota, we're lacking English players. Again, he ticks the box, doesn't he?
Certainly does. And another player who ticks all those particular boxes, England international as well, Harry Maguire. We said there was kind of a split in the fan base's opinion with regards to James Ward-Prowse. It's probably fair to say that there's slightly more with regards to Maguire. You think he's a good player? You think he's got plenty left in the tank? 30 years old, of course, but 60-odd England internationals is not to be sneezed at, is it?
Exactly. And again, I can understand in some respects why some of our supporters aren't particularly happy. We're not going for a younger kind of dynamic model that many would hope. But in our position, we've lost, say, a leader. Aaron Cresswell, experienced player for the squad, leadership quality. He's on the verge of leaving. We've got centre halves in Kurt Zouma, who I'm surprised he's been given the captaincy today, but he's looked brittle for the last 15 months. Yeah, he's never looked completely fit. Mm-hmm. You're never going to get a full season out of him. Neither Good's had his injury problems. Angelo Bonner, probably the most natural born leader and the most experienced person on the back. Now, he's 34. He's not getting any younger. He's certainly not getting any quicker.
Yeah.
So we need someone who can play week in, week out, grab the team by the scruff of the neck and stamp their authority on it.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I'm a big fan of Maguire's. I've got to say, I think we missed out when he moved from Hull to Leicester. We were obviously linked with him at that time. I think that was a bad mistake not to get him. What did he go for? Something like 18 million or something, wasn't it? And of course, got that move to Man U for 75, 80 million pounds. But I think he's been a quality player. I like him. I think he's in that West Ham mould, the kind of Bonds, Tony Gale, even Craig Dawson sort of mould, you know. Yeah, I'm hoping, assuming it all goes through, he's going to be a big success. But yeah, so we've only got one through the door, as we were saying there, but it looks like at least two more are coming in fairly soon. Word is there's a couple more on the horizon. Brennan Johnson at Nottingham Forest. We know West Ham have taken a keen interest in. That's coming from both sides, from West Ham sources and Forest sources. So there's definitely something in that. So that'll be interesting to see if we do something there. Of course, plenty of other irons in the fire. Other midfielders we're looking at. Obviously, strikers is the big one because we've lost Skamaka. And looks like Paquetá maybe on the way. I just wanted to cut to Paquetá actually because we just saw the best of him there, didn't we? Just a moment ago, like the sublime and the ridiculous. We saw him chase all the way back to the edge of our box there to put a brilliant challenge and win the ball back. Turned round and drove up the field. Lovely little 1-2 with Fornals, and then promptly lost the ball. This Man City link, Rio. We've just seen a shot come in from Bournemouth, and it's only just wide. 12 minutes. Brooks, who's had the side footed from the edge of the box. Not troubling Areola though. Paquetá, Rio. If rumours are true that City are willing to pay 85 million or a figure in that region, which sort of represents a 30-40 million pound profit in 12 months for West Ham, do you think that's necessarily a bad thing to let him go?
It's bad in terms of you don't want to lose a player of his calibre, and if Manchester City are sniffing around him, he's obviously a decent player. And we've seen, once he settled down into the Premiership, we saw the class ooze out. Now, for someone we've only had for a matter of months, someone who at first was getting a few pelters from our support because saying a waste of money, not cut out for the Premiership, virtually doubling your money, because I think the City link now, I think we're asking for about 105 again, not 110.
Yeah, it looks that way. Yeah.
If we double the money and reinvest it correctly, that's the key thing, isn't it? It's us reinvesting correctly. Do you want to keep an unhappy player on your books? If you're getting touted by Manchester City, it's probably the only English club who's probably guaranteed at least a trophy every season. Everyone in our fan base, regards to our ex-skipper, if he'd have joined them, no one would have batted an eyelid. Everyone said it's a natural progression. It's probably two players in that kind of manner, but you can understand why A, Paquetá would be interested, and B, why we would, because doubling your money on a player, in the space of us in less than a year, it's the model that some clubs look actually. The Red Bull model has been really touted around in terms of what we should aspire to, and that's exactly what they do. They buy players, get them to a certain next level, and then sell them off for a huge profit. If that we are going to go down that Red Bull model, which everyone seems to crave, this is the natural way of football.
Yeah, and of course, Declan Rice kind of fits into that pattern as well, doesn't he? Another player nurtured at the club. Paquetá less so, but of course we took him at 24. It's coming for a year, and that would represent a bit. I mean, this is the thing. Everyone's talking about Brighton being such a successful club, off the field perhaps, because they've obviously not won anything on the field. Are in Europe this year, so it'll be interesting to see how they get on. But this is, as you say, this is kind of the model now, isn't it, for clubs that are kind of just lurking below that top tier of clubs. If they're good enough, they're going to go. We've seen that with Rice. We're going to see that with Paquetá. I think the issue is, excuse me, Rio. Once your head's turned by Man City, I think you're on a loser there, really. But to his credit, I should just say he's gone out today with the right attitude, and he's looked really, really good so far. No dare I say it, Scotty Parker's, where, of course, he went missing for the first games of the 11-12 season, didn't he? Before he got that move to Tottenham. But I think it's a good deal for West Ham. West Ham on the attack, just playing to the box. Tommy Souček plays it across, it's hit the post. Tommy Souček's hit the post. Oh, he got into the ball was played into the 6-yard box. Souček on the left-hand side of the box. Was it Emerson? I think it's Emerson who plays it in. Let's have a look. Just plays it in front. Souček going across the ball with his left foot, sweeps it across the goal, and goalkeeper Neto, just a passenger, just standing there watching, and the ball's cannoned off the far post. I wanted to talk about this, actually, Rio, because this was one of the things we spoke a lot about last year, wasn't it? Declan Rice's advanced opportunities seemed to kind of stymie Souček's effect on the team. I think we spoke about that a lot of times last year. We've seen it already, it might be a coincidence, but there you go, within sort of 15 minutes of the new season, there he's popping up inside the 6-yard box and hitting the woodwork. Yeah,
my stream's just a little bit behind you. I was just seeing the actual incident now. When Souček first joined, the natural order of things did seem to be Declan was the holding midfielder, Thomas Souček attacked from deep, set piece used his height to great advantage. As Declan's game got more expansive, we saw Thomas kind of go into his shell a little bit. Obviously playing a bit of a deeper role, which isn't his natural position, is it? You'd much rather have him coming on the end of crosses and the end of set pieces. Mm-hmm. And he was getting, and he's still getting a lot of stick online. And I think it's a little bit unjust. He's not the most naturally gifted person. When you look at Lucas Paqueta and what he delivers in a footballing sense, him and Thomas Souček are completely different ends of the spectrum. But you don't hold down the position in Premiership side for this long and be a fulcrum of the team without any kind of attributes that the manager loves. So, getting a lot of stick, but I think it's quite unjust. He's been asked to play a different role for the team at times. He's done that with aplomb. And he can only do what the manager tells him. Yeah,
I totally agree with everything you've just said there. With regards to a new contract, you think he's deserving of a new 4-year deal?
I do think that maybe 4 years is a little excessive because if we're going to play a different style of game, which everyone hopes, you can see Thomas being kind of moved on and moved aside, shall we say. But again, the way of modern football is you tie down your key players for long-term deals in the hope that you kind of maximise the potential and the incoming transfer fee. So I can understand why it's a 4-year deal. I can understand why people will be unhappy about it. But again, it's modern football. People have actually got to wake up and see that the money side of the game has now overtaken the footballing side in some respects. And you secure your assets. You secure your assets and long-term deals. If they do get shifted on, you try and maximise their full potential. So, and I think Thomas Souček would do a really good job for a lot of teams around Europe. So if you got into a longer deal and you want to shift him on, maximise that transfer fee.
Good stuff. There you go. Rio's thoughts on Thomas Souček. Let us know what you think in the live chat. I should say hello. I haven't said hellos to everyone yet today, Rio. So hi to Rob, to AGXM, to Dan, Bob Claret, Gore Edwards, Metal in Both Legs, all the usual crew, Vancouver, Wanstead Hammer, Hobo. Good to see you all back for the new season. West Ham have got a corner. It's their first of the game, so we'll just stick with this for a second. Jarrett Bowen is going to take it from West Ham's right-hand side. Drifts one into the centre. There's a flurry of activity as a bunch of bodies go up in the air, but it looks like it's come off Thomas Souček and gone behind for a goal kick. I think it was a header from Souček. Let's have a little look at this one as the ball comes in. Yeah, Souček couldn't really do anything about it. Just plopped onto his head and just dropped over the net. So coming to, I think, 19 minutes gone. It's Bournemouth 0, West Ham United 0 here at the Vitality Stadium. No goals yet, but quite a bit of goalmouth action. West Ham definitely the stronger side so far, although I'm just seeing the possession stat, which is something I was going to keep an eye on because I wanted to see if we'd changed anything with regards to this year, Rio. So far, Bournemouth 64%, West Ham 36%.
I think while our manager is in charge, having a possession-dominated outlook is kind of pie in the sky. So little bit of wishful thinking there.
Yeah, I suppose that's probably better than we've been averaging last season away from home. So we probably shouldn't be that disappointed. But anyway, West Ham have definitely had the better chances so far. Let's have a quick look at some of your comments. So we didn't do the match predictions. You can get your match predictions in if you like. It's 0-0 still. So if you want to have your say, do so. I was going to go for a draw actually today, Rio. I was thinking sort of 1-1, 2-2 maybe. I couldn't see us keeping a clean sheet, but what are you thinking?
I mean, after the weeks of despondency after the Highs of Prague, I actually went in 2 hours ago with a little bit of hope.
Okay.
I don't know where it's come from or what it's doing, but yeah, I'm still hopeful. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win.
Excellent. 2-1 win, says Rio. 2-2 draw, says I. Gore Edwards going for a 1-1 draw. Rob Young also going for a 1-1 draw. So not too much confidence out there, I suppose, but we'll see. We'll see. Long afternoon to go. 21 minutes gone. It's Bournemouth 0, West Ham United 0. It's a free kick to Bournemouth side. Ben Rama just handling the ball inadvertently. Rob Young says, the Pac-Man started. I thought he'd be wrapped up in £85 million worth of cotton wool. Rio, you surprised to see him starting?
To be honest, I'm a little bit surprised, but you know, the interest has been coming from pretty well-known and pretty reliable sources. But there's still been no kind of concrete offers on the table as far as we're aware. It's all been kind of verbal things flying about. So, yes, I'm surprised. Yes, I'm delighted he's playing for us. And yes, I'm delighted by the fact that he actually appears to be putting a pretty decent shift in so far. Like you say, he's not shirked anything whatsoever. It's a weird situation, isn't it? I think everyone's kind of been exacerbated by the way that the Rice transfer kind of dragged on for so long and caused a lot of anxiety and a lot of consternation amongst their support. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird West Ham conundrum once again because we specialise in them, don't we?
We do. Another player, of course, left the club we haven't spoken about yet. Nikola Vlasic, on loan, spent one season at the club. Really struggled to get, hold down a regular first team place off to Serie A last season for a year and came back, wasn't awarded a squad number, was ignored when the club's squad list went out. Was eventually given number 13, I think, a week or so later, before promptly complaining about the club not treating him with respect. So I suppose you could argue he's got a point. It's all moot now, though, Rio, because he's been sent back to Italy for a fee in the region of about 10 million euros.
Yeah, again, and this kind of sums up the club, doesn't it? We spent a lot of money on him. Is it 30 odd million?
Yeah.
And without any kind of real grasp of how the player actually plays, what his best position was, how to utilise him correctly. And I think he's every right to have the right raving up with us, to be honest. He has been treated with a lot of disrespect. Now, he's a Croatian international. He was just sitting in the side. I think he had his best performance for us when he got he was involved in, I think it's the Burnley game at home, wasn't it? He got involved in that tackle just before the half-time break.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And it clearly affected him. And I just think it's indicative of the way that we operate our transfer kind of transfer regime, that we bought a player without any kind of substance in out the utilising properly. Is based on the fact that in his stats in Russia at the time were incredibly high in terms of creating goal chances, assists, getting shots on target. Yet we never knew how to actually get the best out of him. So very weird situation. I feel very sorry for the player because I think he deserved better. But ultimately, it's cost us a lot of money.
24 minutes gone at the Vitality Stadium. Bournemouth 0, West Ham United 0. We've just seen another corner, West Ham, second corner of the day, and it was an almost carbon copy of the first. Jarrod Bowen delivering it to the near post where Thomas Souček once again came to meet the ball and once again flicked the ball with his head over the bar. So it remains 0-0. Bournemouth on the attack now, coming down the right-hand side. It's Philip with the ball, plays it into the centre, but Souček does well to get a foot in and put it out for Bournemouth's first corner of the day. So we'll just stick with this one for a minute. The Cherries featuring 1 or 2 new signings. One player in there, of course, at West Ham. I've been looking at quite a lot over the last 2 or 3 seasons, but in the end decided not to make a move. That's Max Aarons from Norwich City. Long been linked with a move back to the Premier League following the Canaries' relegation the season before last. We're just waiting for this call to be taken. It's from West Ham's right-hand side, delivered low and near to Sinisi, number 25, but his effort is blocked. It's back out with a Bournemouth play on the right-hand side. Played inside to Christie. Christie lines up a shot, lets one go, but doesn't catch it properly, and it's easy for Areola to just fall on and claim. I think that might be Bournemouth's first shot on target. I don't know, in fact, it is their first. It is indeed the only other effort they had before that was Brooks' side foot effort after 20 minutes. So Christie with a second effort for the home side. But as I said, easy for Areola. Lucas Scamacca, Rio. Another player came here, did a year. Never really looked like he was happy, settled, certainly not fit. Paid around 35 million for him in advance. Looks like we've managed to recoup about 25 million. So another loss involved there.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of devastated about this one because he was exactly the kind of striker we needed. Can score goals from inside and outside the box. Very good physical presence, strong, can finish well. Obviously, the move to London didn't suit the player. So I'm very disappointed at the fact that he's decided to go. I'm absolutely stunned with recouped virtually all the fee. And that must be a first, particularly in recent times.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things, you know. Sometimes you do get a player, maybe you haven't done your homework completely in terms of being able to kind of gauge where he would settle abroad. It's unfortunate because I think he's exactly the kind of striker we need. Wasn't quite as mobile as we first thought, as we saw a few times last season, and certainly couldn't play really in that lone striker role without someone like Jarrod Bowen, Fornells, Cornet, whoever, being about 5 or 10 yards nearer to him than we actually saw.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of the things, isn't it? Sometimes things just don't work out. And I wish him every best in the future because, you know, what I saw of him, I liked the way that he went about his game. It's just one of these things that don't happen.
Yeah, I've got to say I wasn't convinced by him at all. I never saw just see the Bournemouth free kick, dangerous one delivered into the box. It's headed clear, half clear by West Ham. Can we get it out? Zuma eventually does get it out. That looks a bit dangerous for a second. The free kick from the right-hand side, about 30 yards out, delivered it into the 6-yard area, but West Ham managing to deal with it, although Bournemouth have possession again. We'll just stick with this for a second because Brooks tries to play it in, but West Ham have got a chance to counter now. Mickey Antonio does well, holds the ball up, beats 2 players, beats the second one once again just for good measure, and plays it to Soufal. But Bournemouth back in numbers now. Long ball by Mickey Antonio, drifted out left. That's a fantastic pass, actually, to save Ben Rama. Now, Ben Rama driving into the box. Can he beat his man? Cuts inside, looks for options. No one there. Fornells it is. Fornells has a shot. It's a very, very weak effort that doesn't beat a defender on the edge of the 6-yard box. And Bournemouth have a chance to counter themselves now. The game beginning to open up after 28 minutes. Still waiting for our first goal of the afternoon. It's the Cherries nil, the Hammers nil. 28 and a half minutes gone. Ball played into the box by Areola. Manages to come down and sit on that one. So I think, you know, it's, I mean, you look at all the transfers there, Rio, and I think the sad thing is that if we are about to make a 35 million pound profit on Paquetá, that's really only going to be recouping the sums lost from Scamacca and Vlasic, right? You know, we've lost about 30 million there. So I suppose it's not a bad thing. Is it really to come out evens when, you know, if you've got players that you don't necessarily want or, you know, are determined to leave? Yeah,
absolutely. I'm trying to look on the glass half full side. If we do get Maguire in, for me, he's in effect, he's replacing Craig Dawson. And I don't care who you are and what your views Harry Maguire are. As a player, he's twice the player that Craig Dawson is. As much as we love Dawson's attitude, he's never say die kind of way he used to approach the game. He's never been near an England cap, let alone 57. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at Harry Maguire, if he does come in, is an upgrade on Craig Dawson. Obviously, Alvarez replaces whoever it was who went to whoever it was in North London. And, potentially getting James Ward-Prowse, Harry Maguire and Alvarez free for the price of one. So it's not been an earth-shattering summer in terms of transfer activity, and I don't think it will be to the end of the window. But it does appear that we're getting a little bit of decent value in this respect. And I know we're losing another forward in Scamacca, but if we can get a replacement for a reasonable price of money and not get kind of stung because we've got a lot of money in the bank, and everyone knows that even more now, that's the way you've got to look at it. We've got to revolve, utilise what money we do have and use it wisely.
I've just seen Kurt Zuma called into action. Long ball played over the top, looking for Solanke, who's driven into West Ham's box. Kurt Zuma just managed to stretch out a foot and hook the ball over the line for a corner for Bournemouth, which fortunately came to nothing. But West Ham have gone a little bit quiet recently. The last effort, the 24th minute for West Ham, 7 minutes ago, Thomas Souček, that flicked header from the corner. But neither side's really come close to scoring so far, apart from, of course, Souček hitting the post after 15 minutes. But it is 0-0, 31.5 minutes gone. Let us know what you think about the transfer situation at West Ham. Are you happy with what we're doing so far? Are you really disappointed with the lack of activity and the lack of new signings on the pitch today? Just trying to wonder if we have to have a look at the stats on that one, Rio. But I'm just wondering if there's been a time in recent seasons that we've gone into the opening day without a new player in the first 11. I'm sure it's happened quite frequently, to be fair, but what do you think?
I am adamant we've gone in a few times in the past. It's not happened in the most near recent future. Recent past.
Yeah.
Because we've been in that kind of transition state under David Moyes. And obviously before that, we've had the likes of Allardyce in charge. But I think it might have been towards the latter years. I'm trying to think now. I know definitely under John Lyall we did. Definitely under John Lyall we did a couple of times. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to think because football's so transitionary at the moment, isn't it? In the last 20, 30 years has been even more so. But I'm just trying to think. Every time we have kind of had to go down and rebuild, it's been a huge shift in the opening day lineups, particularly when we had Alan Pardew in the year before that. But I'm adamant that definitely under John Lyall we've been in with. Because you only used to make 1 or 2 signings per summer then, didn't we?
Yeah.
If that at all. But in the recent past, I'm not so sure.
The only one I'm thinking that's likely is it's not even recent times, but I was thinking Glenn Roeder, 2002, when we signed Youssef Sofiane and Gary Breen. Did Gary Breen start? I know Sofiane certainly didn't, but I think Breen would have been the only player in line to start that year. So maybe there's one there. But anyway, if you know the answer, when was the last time West Ham started a Premier League or Premiership season or even Division 1 season with the same players, no new signings, basically? Let us know, because we're struggling, as you can see.
I don't think Gary Breen's actually started the game since the World Cup in 2002, judging by what we saw of him.
Unbelievable. Immense against the Germans. Dreadful for the next season. West Ham have got a third corner. Jarrod Bowen's driven to the byline, put a near post cross across, and it's been dealt with by a Bournemouth defender at the near post, just trying to see who it was. Can't see the number. Anyway, it's the third corner for West Ham from our right-hand side, which means it's Jarrod Bowen taking it once again. And we're waiting to see who's going to be taking them from the other side with no Declan Rice and Aaron Cresswell in the team. Ball delivered near post, header goes up, and it's hooked off the line. Paquetá, I think it was. It was delivered to the near post. Lucas Paquetá got up, flicked the header on. Let's have another look at this. So it's Paquetá flicks it on. Mickey Antonio tries to get a foot on it. It falls to Philip, hits him on the knee just underneath the crossbar, and with his other foot, he manages to hook it away. West Ham coming dangerously close once again to scoring, but his sideburn run with the ball now. Tries his luck as a shot. Dips just over the crossbar. So better stuff from West Ham. Two good efforts, but there's our man again, Rio Paquetá, popping up at the near post, causing problems.
Yeah, and it's the caliber of the player, isn't it? Even when things are a little bit quiet, he can always produce that little bit of magic. And this time, from the most unlikely of sorts, trying to head on, flick on from a corner. But and this is the reason why he's so highly rated, isn't it? Because he just can come up with that little bit of magic. We saw the pass in Prague, what he can do with the ball at his feet. We've seen what he can do. We've seen his quality. And this is why, if he does move on, if he does go to City, it wouldn't be begrudgingly for me, because if he wants to win trophies, he's got no ties to West Ham as being a homegrown player or whatever. It's the nature of modern football, but it would be a huge loss.
Yeah, it certainly would. And probably one of West Ham's brightest players on the pitch out there so far. It's still 0-0. Bournemouth 0, West Ham United 0, just coming up to the 36-minute mark. Excuse me. Bournemouth have enjoyed the lion's share of possession, but it's West Ham who have had the best chances. Thomas Souček hitting the post from an Emerson pass after 15 minutes, and Philip clearing the ball off the line from that Paquetá header, which came from a Jarrod Bowen corner. It seems that 3 corners now from Bowen, Rio. We've not managed to hit the target yet, but it sort of certainly seems to be causing Bournemouth some problems in there. Yeah,
I mean, we all know that how our set-piece capabilities have been over the last few years. We didn't see a huge deal of it last year. There's some kind of issues with the backroom staff, we're led to believe. But and last year, Jarrod Bowen started kind of very quietly for me. Now, he went away with the England squad. He came back. Maybe it was a bit too much football for him. He came back late June. Didn't really look on the ball for a few months. But and his set-piece delivery last year was certainly off the mark. But today, looks a lot better. If we're going to rely on that kind of outlet to score a lot more goals, this is promising signs.
We've just seen a penalty shout for West Ham, or not a penalty shout, but a penalty ask, shall we say, from Said Benrahma. The ball was laid back to him by Emerson just inside the Bournemouth box as he pulled the trigger. It looked like he was tripped from behind. He did ask the question, but the referee wasn't having any of it. So the game allowed to continue as we're in the 38th minute now. But West Ham definitely looking more dangerous on the break so far today, looking the more likely of the two teams to score. Going back to a few of your questions, here's one for you, Rio. Afghanit's ex-missus asks, do you think we should have replaced Moyes if we're not going to renew his contract? My concern is the club are buying Moyes-style players and yet not backing him for another contract. Should we have replaced him, Rio?
I was adamant we should have replaced him before the World Cup last year. Obviously, winning in Prague has made it a lot more difficult to kind of change that. But yeah, I'm still a Moyes out person. Let's put it the polite way. I think that it'd be incredibly harsh to dismiss a manager who goes their first trophy in 43 years. But I do think that we do need to kind of move to a more progressive manager.
Okay, there you go. What do you think, guys? You think we should have got rid of him? This question's been going on and on and on and on, hasn't it? It's been actually keeping the site going, I think, for the last 3 months. And nobody's changed their mind and never will. So it's an endlessly cyclical argument that just goes on and on and on. We're just seeing Jarrod Bowen booked, first yellow card of the season, and I'm still not quite sure why he's been booked. He seemed to win the ball cleanly as he burst away with the ball. The referee pulled the game back for the foul, or the supposed foul. And Bowen was shown a yellow card. I can only assume it's for dissent or something, because there was certainly no bad foul involved anyway. But Bowen is in the book for West Ham, and Bournemouth have a corner. We're in the 40th minute. It's from every corner's come from the right-hand side so far. Delivered in. Areola chooses to punch rather than catch the ball, but it's a decent fist on it. Gets it 30 yards out, although Bournemouth regain possession. And The game continues the path it's pretty much followed since the start. Bournemouth seeing more of the ball, but West Ham with the better chances. Afternoon, chaps. Says Richard Van and Craven. Good to see you guys. And going back on some of your posts, apologies. You did post these some considerable time ago. Going back to our question about new signings, Richard Van says, I'm not concerned we don't have new starters yet. I do expect to see 3 against Chelsea with another 2 to come. Breuer and Gallagher, maybe. Either of those interest you, Rio?
I actually quite like Conor Gallagher. I think he did wonders at Crystal Palace. Obviously, going back to Chelsea's kind of stagnated his progression a little bit, but he's a certainly more than capable player. Again, another England international. So if he did join us again for the European quota, does us the world of good. But yeah, I just think he's a very tidy player. So I'll be more than happy to see him come in.
And Breuer, the striker, of course, we were heavily linked with him, weren't we, last year? Then suffered that nasty injury, which kept him out for most of the season. Would he be a player you'd like to see come in?
In essence, yeah, I think there's been huge calls for him. I think he did really well at Southampton, but he's barely featured for Chelsea for the last year now.
Yeah.
So I'm really kind of I know strikers are a premium. It's a very, very hard position to fill. And he's got all the attributes, but has he really got, what's needed at the top level? He did all right at Southampton. I don't think he was earth-shattering. He's obviously not good enough to feature in that Chelsea side. So I think the concept of Breuer is better than the actual what you actually got in output.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one, isn't it, to come back from an injury like that, especially when he's not kicked a ball for about a year. Really, we need someone to hit the ground running. So not sure it's really the right time for us right now. But anyway, Bournemouth looking to break on the left-hand side. It's with Kirkes who lifts the ball into the area. And again, just manages to deal with it. Didn't look like he had, first of all. But Bournemouth regain possession. It's out on the right-hand side with Brooks. Brooks plays it in the box to Christie. Christie looks to turn Paquetá. Can't do so. Paquetá's trying to do some wizardry on the West Ham's goal line, basically on the floor. And I think he's won a free kick, done really, really well to buy a free kick off of Christie, right by West Ham's corner flag. Good work from the Brazilian. We did just see Alphonse Areola called into action for the first time, really, this afternoon. It was Brooks who took the shot from the edge of the box through a flurry of players, and Areola had to get down quickly and smartly to his left to punch the ball away from a goal. To ensure West Ham remain on level terms. But it is goalless at the moment. Perhaps no surprise there. 43 minutes gone now. And West Ham with that free kick just down by our corner flag. Craven Moorhead says, you watched no red cards last season. And we'll get one in the opening game. Let us know. Who do you fancy for a red card? Craven, Bowen, maybe? Already in the book. Mickey Antonio going to do something silly, perhaps? Let us know. Who do you fancy to get a red card for West Ham here today? Rio, your thoughts on the first half so far, just coming up to the last couple of minutes now? Well, we say that, don't we? But of course, we got this rule change this season, which means we could be looking forward to several minutes of added on time at the end of each
half hour's worth, I reckon.
What do you make of it so far, Rio?
Let's be honest, everyone wanting this the start of this season, there's a lot of doom and gloom flying about. We've actually played some reasonable, decently football. We've not looked under threat a lot. It's been tidy. It's not been earth-shatteringly great. It's been very tidy. We've created a few opportunities. And what with all the upheaval, all the negativity flying about, I'm more than happy with the way we performed in the first half.
Right, good stuff. Well, let's just hold 5% because Bournemouth have a corner. It's from their left-hand side, the first corner from the left-hand side in the game. It's cleverly worked, but not that clever because the ball's just passed out of into touch for a West Ham goal kick. Little routine from Bournemouth there. It didn't quite work out the way it was intended. 44, we're into the final minute of the regulation 45 in the first half. As we said, it's Bournemouth nil, West Ham United nil. It's about this time I should pull up the BBC stats to see just how well West Ham have done in that first half statistically. Bournemouth were, of course, leading possession 64-36 in that earlier on in the game. Anyway, we'll just have a quick look to see how it stands now. Bournemouth, we're just on 45 minutes, just going into added on time. We're just waiting to see how much is being played. Bournemouth 66% of possession so far in that first half to West Ham's 34. But look at this, Bournemouth 3 shots. 2 on target. West Ham 9 shots, 2 on target. So it just goes to show that West Ham have been the side, most likely to score, at least threatening more in that first half. 3 corners each. Both teams are having committed 5 fouls each. It's pretty clear, pretty even so far, should I say. Paquetá is on the bench, on the floor, grabbing his right ankle as he's wont to do every time he goes down. I'm guessing the only major concerns right now will be in the West Ham boardroom. David Sullivan thinking about the 85 million going south if there's an injury today. If he does go, Rio, that's an extraordinary amount of money West Ham have taken back in players this year. That will see the figure recuperated go well over the £200 million mark.
Yeah. The biggest fear is how we reinvest it and in which direction we want to go. Are we going to back the manager who's our current boss, give him a lot of the money to kind of reinvest in the squad, and as AGXM pointed out, are we going to get Moyes type players in? Are we going to go down the route of utilising our new kind of technical director and look for his kind of signings, which we understand there's a little bit of friction between him and Moyes? We've got a lot of money at our disposal at the most kind of turbulent time in the club's recent history.
Yeah,
there's still a lot of discussion about whether Mr. Sullivan will be here in a not too distant future. We've got Kresnitsky in the wings. We've got a lot of upheaval on the pitch, off the pitch, in terms of backroom staff. There's rumours about a lot of players leaving. Some of them rightly so, because they've reached that age where you want to be kind of upgrading the squad and probably 2 or 3 years overdue.
Yeah.
It's just who you trust with the money available and which route you want to go down. Do you go down the tried and trusted Moyes route, or do you go down the Steidon route and bring in young, promising players? But there's a lot of money potentially to spend and invest. Does it get spent off the pitch in upgrading their facilities? Because we know that Chadwell Leaf's not the most high-tech, Rush Green, now, isn't it? Rush Green isn't the most high-tech and salubrious of training grounds. Do we offset some money by upgrading those facilities? Do we go strictly in personnel? It's a very, very difficult time for West Ham, and there's no certainty and no clear plan of how you want to progress.
Yeah, for sure. It really is, a year, a summer of uncertainty, but you could say a year of uncertainty, which seems bizarre, given that, as you said a little while ago, Rio, just 60 or so days ago, we were celebrating winning the Conference League. Put some silverware in the trophy for the first time for many, many years. Rio, Richard Van asks, what are your thoughts about Cole Palmer as part of any deal for Lucas Paquetá?
If we are going to go down the route that Paquetá is going to depart, then Cole Palmer looks an incredibly talented player. And there's talk of us taking him on loan. And I wouldn't want to loan sign him. I'd want to take him permanently because he looks a cracking player. I watched him play for England, junior kind of levels. Looks fantastic. Yeah. We saw what we did last Sunday. But yeah, that boy's got a lot of ability, and it would kind of temper any kind of ill feeling that Paquetá, should he move on, because we've got potentially a really bright spark coming in to replace him. Yeah,
certainly knows where the net is, as we saw in the Community Shield, Charity Shield, whatever it's called these days. He's got a great goal, and looks like he's going to be a bit of a player. But anyway, we're going to find out about that in the next few days. It is, of course, half time. I forgot to tell you, but I was just saying there that we're expecting several minutes of time to be added on, and in the end, there was only 1 minute added on. So probably less time on average than last season. That soon passed. There were no goals or no further action at all, which means that West Ham and Bournemouth go into the half-time interval on level pegging, goalless. Not really been a classic so far. West Ham started well. Fornals and Bowen had efforts inside the opening 5 minutes to kind of set out West Ham stall, and then Brooks had the home side's first effort after 12 minutes, but it was Thomas Souček who came closest to scoring in that first half on the quarter of an hour mark when Emerson's ball back from the byline was fired across goal by the Czech, who saw his effort rebound off the far post to safety. West Ham also went close in the 34th minute when a Jarrod Bowen corner found Lucas Paquetá at the near post. His header was flicked on and cleared from under the crossbar by Philip at the second touch. But the only real effort that West Ham or Alphonse Areola's had to save so far was in the 41st minute when Brooks, who's been involved in everything so far as Bournemouth have been concerned, hit a shot to the right-hand side. Areola down smartly to fist it away and ensure that we go into the break goalless. And we're just having a little look at West Ham's bench this afternoon. Rio, you know, we sort of get into the second half of these games and sort of have a look around and see, you know, who can possibly do something a little bit different, who can change it. Did you see anyone on the bench today that can perhaps come on and give West Ham a bit more attacking impetus, give us something a bit fresh up front or in the, you know, the opposition half?
There's two players that really stand out for me, and that's Maxwell Cornet. And we know he's had a rather difficult start to his West Ham career, isn't he? He's not fully been fit. He looked absolutely desperate to actually put the ball in the back of the net in the last season, and his appearances from the bench looked over desperate. But he's got that pace about him, which could cause Bournemouth a lot of problems at the back. And when the game kind of opens up a little bit, when tyre and legs come into play, he could be ideal. And the other one is obviously Divan Mbuma, who, you know, I still think he's not of the calibre yet to be a Premiership striker.
Right.
I think he's incredibly raw. His first touch is a little bit lacking, but there's no denying that boy knows where the back of the net is. And in terms of output and desire at this level, if you know that's 90% of the battle done, isn't it? You know, as I used to say about Steve Ball, who cares when your first touch is so bad, when your second always ends up in the goal. So,
that's true.
Yeah, I think at the moment he's kind of seen as the natural successor to Mikel Antonio. If we can kind of utilise him and encourage his development and growth as it's going at the moment. So I think we'll see a lot more of him because obviously, as we said, the transfer policy regarding strikers is a bit of a minefield because there's so much demand for people around the world. So having a homegrown one who can come in and potentially cause a bit of an upset and save us a few quid, that's a godsend.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. I really hope this is his breakthrough season. We've seen glimpses of him, haven't we, in the past? Know that he's very, very capable young striker. I just hope he gets the opportunity to show us what he can do this season. I sense he will, especially in the next few weeks if we don't make a signing or two sharply. A few other games taking place in the Premier League this afternoon. In fact, there's been a couple already last night. New Premier League members, Burnley, back after one season in the Championship, were given a bit of a baptism of fire at home to Man City, beaten 3-0 quite comfortably, and of course ended the game with only 10 men. After Zaroury was sent off in the 4th minute of added on time. Game earlier today was Arsenal against Nottingham Forest. Eddie Nketiah and Bukayo Saka put the home side 2 up before the break, before Taiwo Awoniyi scored with 8 minutes to go to give Forest a glimmer of getting something from that game, but in the end they didn't manage to, and the points went to Arsenal. Playing this afternoon, 4 games: Sheffield United versus Crystal Palace, Everton versus Fulham, Bournemouth versus West Ham. All of those are 0-0 so far. And the only goal we've got in the Premier League this afternoon is in the game between Brighton and Luton Town. Luton, of course, newcomers themselves as well to the Premier League. First time they've been back in the top flight for... Now, there's a question. 89, 90, Rio?
Yeah, I think they went down. I think it's the same season as us, wasn't it? 89, 90?
Yeah.
Never to return again until the day they reared their ugly head.
Yeah.
And ugly is the whole word to describe Luton, the whole town, the whole concept of the place.
Yes.
That's just like some of our Luton-based fans. So I'm really sorry.
Yes. Yeah. Less said about that, the better. But they are currently a goal down to Brighton. Solly March scoring the first goal of the season down there at the Amex Stadium. So yeah, one goal. It's pretty paltry return so far from the Premier League. But what else have we got coming? We've got Newcastle Villa 5:30 today. Tomorrow we've got Brentford and Tottenham and Chelsea and Liverpool, and then we've got Man U and Wolves. Probably, well, hopefully this is going to have nothing to do with us, Rio. But I'm going to ask the question anyway. Who's your three to go down this year?
Definitely Luton for one. I think Sheffield United, because I think they look a little bit of a mess off the pitch as well as on. And I do worry about Wolves. I mean, I say I worry, but we've all been to Wolverhampton as well. We shouldn't be worrying about them. But, you know, they've lost a manager of some reputation. Their transfer policy has gone completely the polar opposite to the way they was progressing in about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yep.
They're very promising attacking side, full of intent, full of like foreign talent coming in, causing a fair few upsets. And now they're regressing, and they're looking to sign potentially Aaron Cresswell.
Yes.
So potentially the back four involving Aaron Cresswell and Craig Dawson. It never gave us much hope when they hit a certain time of their life. So let alone the side aiming to stay in the Premiership full time. You know, if you're basing your future on them two playing the back week in, week out.
Yep. I've got to say I'm with you on those three. I'd like to, probably more out of hope than judgment, but I'd like to think Everton might be involved in it again this year. They don't seem to be able to spend an awful lot of money either, do they? But
can I throw another one in the mix?
Yes, of course.
This is partly tongue in cheek, but only partly.
Right.
But a certain club who play in North London,
right,
who have just lost their England captain,
okay,
who look in a lot of disarray. Last year, he scored 30 odd goals. I know they finished 7th or 8th. Something. I mean, I don't pay any heed to them really a lot, but their fans were in uproar about how badly they were playing. They've made, apart from James Maddison, I mean, their transfer dealings this year haven't really inspired, and we know that Maddison, he's very much hit and miss. How they replace Harry Kane is going to be a big way of seeing how their season goes. And I don't think for a life of me they'll go down, but I think they'll. If they finish bottom half of the table, it wouldn't surprise me, and I think they could get dragged into some nonsense, really, because I just think that club is going down the pan at the moment. I know most of it's wishful thinking, but I think they're an absolute mess.
No, keep talking. It sounds good to me. I mean, anything that leaves them in trouble, I think it's great.
Even the manager, and I know he did a marvellous job up in Scotland, but let's face it, anyone watching this stream at the moment, me, you, my next door neighbour, my cat, we could get that Celtic side winning that league. You know, Scotland is a god awful league, and 2-horse race. And if one of the horses goes a bit lame after 3 weeks, you know, they put their feet up after about three or 4 months. It's not a great league. So of course he looks great because he's won them trophies up there. But I say anyone could do that. Yeah, I think Tottenham are a bit of a mess.
He kind of reminds me a bit of a Martin Jol type signing. You know, someone who's had a great deal of success elsewhere, but not necessarily suited to the Premier League or any experience. But we'll see. Obviously, a popular character down in his home nation. Not going to be very popular amongst West Ham fans, of course, anymore. But let's hope it proves to be a resounding failure for him up there in North 17. Let us know, who do you think is going to go? Which 3 teams do you think is going to be relegated from the Premier League so far? Rio's gone with Luton, Sheffield United, and Wolves. I see no reason to disagree with those. But as I say, I've got a feeling Everton might be back in the mix this year. And hopefully it's their turn. As Terry Brown once said, it's everyone's turn once in a while. And I think they're well beyond having their turn. Here at the Vitality Stadium, anyway, it's Bournemouth 0, West Ham United 0. The Hammers starting this particular match, the first game of the 23-24 campaign without any new players in the team or indeed in the squad. Minus, of course, the likes of Declan Rice and Skamaka, Vlasic as well. Of course, he wasn't involved last year anyway, but West Ham doing okay so far. Anyone else sort of stood out for you today, Rio? Is it, any other players sort of that look particularly good out there?
No, I mean, I think our bright sparks have been Bowen and Paqueta. I'm surprised that Kurt Zouma got up after that nice bit of defending towards the end of the first half, because that's one of the ones that he comes back holding something, gripping and grimacing. So yeah, at the moment, those two have been the bright sparks. But I think overall, it's been a more than adequate performance. Fornell's getting in the side and starting from the off in a more central role. We still haven't seen the best of him yet, but he's been very tidy. He hasn't let anyone down. But I think everyone here has put in a bit of a shift so far. Even the ones that I've got my doubts about long term, now they've looked all right. So I'm more than happy with our performance in the first half.
Good stuff. Well, the players are back out on the pitch. We're about to kick off the second half of this game. West Ham will be kicking from right to left on your TV screens. I'm assuming all the TV cameras are in the same part of the pitch. West Ham playing in that brand new white shirt, not the one that Rio and I are adorning today. But we've not done the kits, Rio. We've got this far without talking about the kits. Home and away, are you a fan? And give us your marks out of 10 for both, please.
Okay. I'm going to go with, I'm going to divert a little bit here.
Okay.
Umbro get a lot of grief from a lot of people, but we do get bespoke kits every year. No, if you look at some of the stuff they do elsewhere, it's really good. This year, obviously, my biggest bugbear with the home kit is not playing white shorts and socks, which I detest. West Ham playing current blue shirts, white shorts, white socks. We do not deviate. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the home kit. It's a little bit, I'm not against the bubbles on it. I just think it's been poorly kind of utilised. I'm just not a fan of the way that the sleeves and the blue aspects kind of meld in together. The particular shirt we're wearing here, I love it if you look at it from about 2 meters away. It's a fantastic kit close up. But in watching this stream, mate, when the camera pans away like it has now, can you see who we're playing? Can you see what our team is? It looks like a Betway United shirt. There's a reason why, if the Betway had been done in silver as well, so it looks completely pure white, almost that little silver edge, it would have been marvellous. But obviously, Betway must have seen the concept and thought, on TV, we have to claim some of our money back because he doesn't like sponsoring anybody. It's a great shirt, but it's brilliant, very, very close up. You just cannot make out the badge or anything from a television point of view. And seeing as like the whole world of football now is driven by money and media, I think we missed a bit of a trick here. I think if they'd made the badge, like I say, the sponsor silver as well as the badge, it would have been immense. If they made the badge slightly kind of like even black, it would have been epic. I just think it looks a bit like, who are we?
Yeah. Okay. But you're a fan of the shirt overall, are you? The all white kit?
Yeah, I mean, from someone like me who's very short-sighted, I've seen it up close. It looks amazing. But if you're a bit kind of, I can't remember the technical term for long-sightedness. Is it presbyopic? If you're presbyopic, no, you're knackered because you can't see that it's West Ham.
There you go. Team, let's know your thoughts on the home and away kits. Are you a fan? Do you like both? Do you like one or the other? I've got to say, I'm not particularly keen on the home kit. I'm not sure the bubbles thing is a runner. That joke about it looking like a coffee cup stain is there's some validity in that for sure. Rio's absolutely right. West Ham don't play in claret shorts and stripy socks. Should be white. The away kit, I think it's an absolute winner. Love it, love it, love it. Just reminds me of 1980. Well, the other cup run as well. Highbury, wasn't it? We played that in the quarterfinals, I think, wasn't it? 75, Rio beat Arsenal 2-0. Alan Taylor, all white kit.
Yeah.
Didn't stay all white for long, of course, because it was like a bog that day at Highbury. Mickey Antonio's got into the book. Not quite sure what for, but that's the second West Ham player booked today. Let's have a look. What is it for? I think it's for a late challenge. Yeah, he's stamped on there. I didn't see the defender's shirt, didn't see his name, but as he's played the ball, Mickey Antonio's come across and just put his foot on the top of the Bournemouth player's foot, and that's a yellow card. So not much in it really, but can't really complain. 49 minutes gone. Bournemouth 0, West Ham United 0. Haven't really gone at them, have we, Rio? Since I think that's only 3 or 4 minutes, but there's a shot coming in, and that's a great save from Areola. That's a really, really good save. I think it's Brook again, actually. I don't know if you've seen that yet, Rio, but it's a volley. Let's have a look. The ball's crossed in from the right-hand side. It's headed out by Soufal to the edge of the box. And it's Brooks, yeah, the number 7, who's taken a lovely half volley, really well judged. It would have been dipping under the crossbar, but Areola manages to get up and tip it over the bar. Let's just have a look what happens with this corner from West Ham's right-hand side. And it's Brook yet again involved. He's going to be taking it, delivers, and it's cleared out eventually by West Ham, but missed a couple of players. Areola, Rio, we've obviously had this discussion. Well, let's just have a look at this because West Ham are on the counter here. It's a real chance to break. Soufal with the ball, but he's been closed down. Goalkeeper, Rio. Obviously, Fabianski, we assume he's dropped for Areola today. Not aware of any injury news or anything like that. And of course, Fabianski's on the bench. Who's your first choice for the season this year?
I just actually think this makes sense. Fabianski has been a marvellous servant since he joined the club. He's very rarely let people down, but he has let people down on occasion. And was he 37 now? We've got to be looking to a younger model. We obviously signed Areola and promised him that he would progress to be the number 1 choice in all competitions, because we spent a lot of money on him. He isn't going to come and sit on the bench for good. I like him. I think his distribution's a lot better. He's a great shot stopper. I do worry about his ability on crosses at times, but I think with more regular football we can try and see that improve. But I just think it's a natural progression. And
we've scored.
I'm about a minute behind.
Apologies. Jarrod Bowen has just put West Ham ahead in the 51st minute, and what a finish it is. We were talking about Cole Palmer's effort against Arsenal in the Community Shield last week, and it's not dissimilar, actually. Bowen's picked up the ball now. West Ham were driving into the Bournemouth box. Bournemouth managed to half clear the ball, but I think it was Paquetá who's coming with a fantastic challenge to win the ball back. Bowen picks it up, cuts inside on his left, and just whips a curling effort. Let's have a look at this from about 24, 25 yards beyond Neto into the far top left-hand corner. It's a lovely strike. But I just want to see who it was again. But it's a brilliant, brilliant goal from, it's a beauty, absolute beauty. Tucks it inside the post. Rio, Neto, no chance with that one whatsoever.
No, absolutely fantastic strike. Now we talk a lot about, we spoke during a little break that Bowen started off last season very, very much off form, and the weight of the world on his shoulders. He's been probably our brightest spark today, and that is an absolute fantastic strike. And have we ever scored a better goal on an opening day than that? Because that was an absolute cracker.
Yeah.
I think it was that 4-0 with a tackle to win the
was
ball.
it 4-0? Yeah. So I've got my screen on in a quarter size, so I'm going to have to make it a bit bigger. But I defer to your greater knowledge on that one. It was 4-0, was it not? Not Paquetá.
I think it was 4-0 who then fed Souček, who dinked the ball to Bowen. But what an absolute cracker of a sight! What an absolute cracker! And all that doom and gloom over the summer break, if things stay as they are, happy days indeed.
Very much so, very much so. And also, we spoke about this before, didn't we? We talked about Thomas Souček getting in those areas. We've seen him in the 6-yard box so far, hitting the post. We've seen him up for a couple of corners, and there he is there getting an assist in those advanced areas that we just didn't see him in last year.
No, and fair play to him because, again, I reiterate that I've seen, not just on the forum, but elsewhere, the amount of stick he's been getting. And so he's not the most graceful player. He's not a Paquetá in terms of ability and skill on the ball. But if you can get your foot in every now and then, create opportunities, create a little bit of havoc, cause opposition midfielders and defenders to think, because, he's a big gangly lump. Those little kind of aspects of his game, alongside players of greater ability, they all add up. It's just some of the parts, not just the individuals sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just seen Bournemouth try and counter with they just had a corner, but West Ham dealt with it fairly comfortably. And we're in the just coming into the 55th minute now. 10 minutes, 9 minutes gone in the second half. West Ham breaking the deadlock through Jared Bowen in the 51st minute. Wonderful, wonderful finish. Probably no more than West Ham have deserved really so far, having been the better side in front of goal as things stand. No sign of any changes yet. I don't suppose you will see any right now, given that West Ham have just gone. Now, there's an interesting ball played down the line. Now, this could be dangerous for West Ham. And it's Solanke with a shot from an acute angle on the right-hand side of the box, sort of pushed out wide, played in the channel. He managed to get behind Aguerd. That's slightly concerning. And I think actually the shot was on target, and Areola, I think, has saved that and put that out for a corner. Let's have another look at this. Yeah, definitely. I think it was creeping inside. So Bournemouth take the corner. Comes to nothing initially, but comes back to Brooks, who has time to deliver to the far post. But Areola up smartly. He's having a really good game so far, the French keeper, Rio.
Yeah, when he's called upon, he's been absolutely marvellous. And I think he knows that, and that's been the beauty of West Ham over the last 2 or 3 seasons, that we've got 2 keepers of really, really good calibre. And they must have been pushing each other. Ariola's finally got a nod in the league games over Fabianski, and when called upon, he's been marvellous today. I've just had a message privately, and I hope the incumbent who sent it to me doesn't mind me saying. It's regarding our potential centre-back partnership when and if Harry Maguire does sign.
Yeah.
We've got Kurt Zouma and Naif Aguerd, who, Kurt Zouma's naturally right-footed, Aguerd left. And they work well as a partnership. Obviously, Aguerd's a great footballer, the ball at his feet. When Maguire comes in, does he fit in instead of one of those two, or does he augment them and we go to a back 3 and a walk-around system?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think a few people have been asking that one, haven't they? Who your first choice? What do you? And of course, Bonner in there as well. We should be well stocked anyway with centre halves.
Well stocked. I mean, it's just the fitness concerns me. I mean, we all know Angelo's obviously getting on a bit now, and he can't contribute as much as he used to or what would like to. Kurt Zouma, as we said, he can look a little bit brittle at times. And I think this is the reason we're going after Harry Maguire type, because he very rarely misses a game due to ill fitness. And if he's the mainstay of the England side under Gareth Southgate, it would be churlish of us to turn our noses up at him, because he offers so much in terms of defensive ability, and he's a better footballer than people give him credit for.
Yeah, I totally agree. Quick look at the match stats. Bournemouth still 64% possession, West Ham 36. Bournemouth 4 shots, 3 on target. West Ham 11 shots, 3 on target, and of course, most importantly, with the only goal. There has been a goal elsewhere in the Premier League this afternoon, as Dan B has just pointed out in the chat. Thank you, Dan. Crystal Palace have taken the lead at Bramall Lane against Sheffield United. Odson Edouard opening the scoring in the 49th minute. Still no goals at Goodison Park between Everton and Fulham. Brighton still leading Luton Town by 1-0. So 3-1 nils and a 0-0 so far in this cagey opening day of the Premier League. I've just had a quick break for an injury to Senesi, I think it was receiving treatment, and a player's just restarted. And the ball is deep in West Ham's own territory, but the Hammers managing to deal with it. APD, good to see you on the stream, buddy. Hope you're well. Hope you've been having a good summer. Dan B says the internet is knackered, so everything is stop-start. Well, let's hope we can keep the stream up and running at least anyway for the next half hour or so. West Ham leading by a 1-0 here, but this could be dangerous. Bournemouth have been awarded a free kick right on the edge of West Ham's box. Lucas Paquetá, I think it was, who conceded possession. Let's have another look at this one again. Conceded the foul. Let's have another look at this. Let's see again. It's a guy to put a block in. Aaron's, yeah, he's been tripped by Paquetá. There's not really much in it, but this is a really dangerous situation for West Ham. Perhaps a yard outside the box. From the right-hand side, maybe 6-7 yards from the 10 yards, maybe from the centre. So ideally suited for a left footer, this one. But Alphonse Areola is going to be seriously tested here, it looks like, for the first time from a set piece this afternoon. Now, West Ham lining up with 5 in the back, Fornals, Bowen, Souček, Zuma and Paquetá. Looks like Antonio's in there as well. So this is, I imagine Fornals will go to floor, go to ground, as is his wont of late. There he goes. So a 4-man wall of Antonio, Souček, Paquetá, Fornals on the deck. There's a change for Bournemouth in the 60th minute. Just waiting to see who that is coming on. Just waiting to see. That's the number 19 coming on. It's actually Anthony and Senesi both going off. And it's Kluivert and Mepham coming on. A name that will be familiar to many 90s football fans, Kluivert. This is the youngest son, Justin. I think he's only 19, coming for £9-10 million in the summer. Shot comes in from the number 29, Philip, but it's over the bar, fortunately for West Ham, fired over and comes to nothing. We've played now 2/3 of the way through. West Ham leading by a goal. Still no changes from West Ham, as you would probably expect in the circumstances. Well, it's actually gone out for a corner. I thought that was a goal kick, but Bournemouth had a corner on West Ham's left, delivered in. Up goes Aguirre to get it clear, only as far as a Bournemouth player. The ball back with the Cherries on the edge of West Ham's box now, on the right-hand side of the penalty box. Little back flick, but Mickey Antoni should be able to deal with that. He kind of does, and it's going to be a goal kick to West Ham. Now, what's going on here? What's going on here? Now, Emerson's gone to the floor, clutching his head. Mickey Antonio's having a bit of a chat with Mepham. One of the two substitutes. Zuma's complaining to the referee. Now, what's been given here? Have they given a goal kick or a corner? I mean, what's happening here? Let's have a look. Emerson is being dragged away by the referee, as is Antonio. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Let's have another look at this incident. It's nothing in it. I think Emerson's just run across Mepham and he's tripped up. Bit of a mountain out of a molehill, that one, from the Italian. But anyway, it's another 90 seconds or so wasted, Rio. What do you do now if you're David Moyes? Do you push on for that second goal, Rio, or are we going to just be happy to sit back and try and suck up the pressure, hit them on the break, perhaps, and look for another one that way?
Yeah, I think just soak up the pressure, hit on the break. Obviously, bring one a little bit of a different dynamic now in Kluivert. And I thought you did a marvellous job in bumping up Chris Mepham. I don't know he's dead, but I'm sure he was a great player in the 90s. Because when you a little bit of soliloquy there about you recognise his name for the 90s, and you mentioned Chris Mepham before Kluivert, so clear up any confusion.
Yes, apologies if I was anything less than fully clear.
I'm sure he was a great player. He's dead. Sure, a marvellous player. I'm never a fan of Patrick. Yeah, and I sit and soak, I think, is the David Moyes way, isn't it? I mean, I can't see much change in the way that we approach this. And I think where Bournemouth are going to kind of push forward to try and grab the equaliser, we'll see some more gaps open at the back there. They've altered their, like I say, they've altered their dynamic by bringing Clive on. He's got a little bit more pacey, a little bit more technical ability. But I just think, there's gaps to exploit here. And there shouldn't be no major changes in personnel yet. And no way we should change the approach we're undergoing at the moment either.
course, as things stand, West Ham are in the Champions League places, joint third in the Premier League after an hour of the season. Could be worse, I suppose. I'm trying to I saw a thing the other day, Rio. It was a table of how for how long each current Premier League team had been top of the Division 1 or Premier League in their history. West Ham was something like 17th with about 300 minutes. I'm trying to think of the last time we were top of the table after the opening day of the season. I seem to remember it was about, this is dangerous. I guess it's done really well. The ball was played into the box, and I think it was Philip who got into the box looking dangerous, but against putting a really good challenge. 1983, I think we beat Notts County 3 or 4-0 on the opening day of the season. I've got a feeling we were top briefly.
I think, didn't
about
we?
10, 15 years ago.
I don't. Can't remember years ago. I think you're definitely right about 1983. I think the year later, didn't we beat Coventry 5-2 on the opening day? I know.
Okay.
So that kind of rings a bell as well. But yeah, that was my early days of going, the early 80s. So no, we're not exactly been travelling the top of the table echelons ever since, have we?
No, we haven't. One player travelling West Ham's woodwork, though, is Rothwell from Bournemouth. He's just whipped one in from just outside the box, and it's beaten Alphonse Areola all ends up. But fortunately for West Ham, it's not managed to dip under the crossbar. It's cannoned straight back off the crossbar to safety. So hopefully that's a little bit of luck that West Ham are going to be getting today. But the closest Bournemouth have come yet. For sure. Good effort that, Rio. Took it well, but West Ham fortunate.
Yeah. Just seeing it now. Cracking effort. Catch yourself a little bit unfortunate there because Areola was nowhere near that.
No.
Again, it was a great strike.
Yeah, just from just outside the box, my stream decided to go down. So let's see if we can get that back. But 65 minutes played anyway. West Ham leading by 1-0. The only goal of the game so far coming from Jarrod Bowen. 6 minutes into the second half. Wonderful, wonderful finish. Not actually dissimilar to that effort from Rothwell, cutting inside and unleashing an effort, albeit from the right rather than the left. Rio, it's over to you because I've lost my stream. I shall pass the baton while I try and look for another one briefly.
No problem at all. Obviously, people, I do apologise. I'm a little bit behind where most people might be. But, 1-0 at the moment. Bournemouth kind of asking a few more questions. But, no, so far we're not doing too bad. And, things are looking okay here. As I say that, Bournemouth just played a long ball up front. We kind of dealt with it. Paquetá getting involved, and he's won the ball brilliantly there. Tussle, long diagonal ball towards Antonio, but he just couldn't grasp it. But Bowen picks up the ball, surges forwards. And he's still done well. He went under a little bit of a heavy challenge there, Jarrod Bowen, but he's managed to stay on his feet and regain possession. And we're just feeding it around nicely in the back and around the midfield.
Fortunately, I seem to have a stream back.
Oh, thank God for that, because I'm rubbish at that.
I'm on 66.10, Rio. Not quite. Where are you?
I'm only 20 seconds behind you now.
Okay, good stuff. Bournemouth breaking on the left-hand side. This could be dangerous. Looking to get the ball. It's a good cross, but Tommy Souček does well to get up and divert that. It was Kirkes who broke down the left-hand side, cut into the box, pulled his cross back, but Tommy Souček was at the near post to make sure it didn't find one of the Bournemouth players. Teammates and West Ham ensure that they remain ahead. Just about 23 and a bit minutes of normal time left to go. The Hammers still there. Still no signs of any changes coming from West Ham. No one, I can't see anyone warming up on the touchline. Rio, can you, at the moment, doesn't seem to be any evidence of players about to come on anyway?
No, I'm not seeing anything at all. But, this is the David Moyes way, isn't it? He very rarely tinkers with the side. And I think opening day of the season, I think he'd be even more reluctant to. But, I just think we're doing a little bit of fresh legs. And Mikel Antonio's looking a bit of a frustrated figure up top.
Yeah.
We're not really been feeding him a lot. But I think Mbama could come on, occupy the defenders a little bit more. Obviously, he's a lot rawer. But the pace, the power, it could cause them trouble at the back. So that might be a call for him. And if we don't augment Mikel Antonio pretty soon in terms of another signing, it could be a long, hard season for us.
Well, we've just seen Bournemouth make another change. Moore, who's got some height on him, has replaced Christie in the 68th minute. That's the third change for Bournemouth. West Ham still yet to make a single change, but they look to be trying to hit West Ham down our right hand side. Sorry, their left hand side. Everything seems to be coming from that side at the moment, but to no avail, fortunately, for West Ham. David Moyes and Billy McKinley deep in conversation on the bench. Still no sign of any players warming up for the Hammers. Would be quite an ideal situation, wouldn't it, Rio, to bring Mabama in for this one, perhaps last 20 minutes or so. There's Tim Stuyton in the crowd watching the game. Yeah, like to see the youngster come on now, Rio, perhaps for the last 20 or so.
Yeah, as I said, that it pans just the TV camera just panned around to the bench.
Yeah,
it looks like two of our youngsters have been warming up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's ideal now for Divine to come on in place of Antonio, just with kids like that, a little bit of extra kind of little bit more pace, a little bit of power. We all know Mikel has always kind of burnt out around the 70-minute mark anyway. And what with the booking over his head, we could do without him doing anything silly and getting sent off as well. So I think it works. That would be the ideal change at the moment. It works in every single department.
Now, West Ham have a throw-in. About 30 yards from Bournemouth's goal. It's on the right-hand side. Vladimir Soufal looks to get it to the byline, finds Jarrod Bowen, does well to get a foot on that, really. Quite inventive from West Ham. Won the ball back. Pablo Fornals, can he get it across? Gets to the byline, chips it across, but it's an easy one for Neto at his near post to just come and pluck out the air. And he looks for a long goal kick to try and get Bournemouth away early, but that should be dealt with by Aguerd and Zuma. Not quite sure why Aguerd didn't go straight back to Areola, but West Ham have regained possession eventually. So that's okay. Still no changes for West Ham. We're into that 70-minute mark now. David Moyes, of course, so frequently likes to make changes. Said Benrahma just gives the ball away. Bournemouth back in possession on the halfway line. Still,
he's
Bournemouth.
Another one you've got to be looking potentially to take off as well. So he's not really had much of an impact today.
No, he
and
hasn't.
No, where Max Aaron's kind of bombs forward, he's got a lot of pace, but he can get caught out position. Maybe Maxwell Cornet could come on and exploit any kind of areas behind him. Yeah,
I think this is definitely open for someone like Cornet to come on and have a little run down that left-hand side. I've got to say I'm a big fan of his. Thought it was a good deal to get him from Burnley. What did we pay, Real? What was it, 16, 17 million, I think?
Yeah, it wasn't a great deal of money in the modern kind of parlance, but we haven't seen the best of him yet. But I think he's got potential for us, and also his versatility does come into play. He can play anywhere down that left-hand side. We know that Moyes kind of also sees him potentially as an augmentary striker as well.
Yeah.
So for that kind of money, it's a bit of a no-brainer.
Harry Kane has completed his move to Bayern Munich. I don't know if that's news or not. I've not been keeping up with general Premier League news today, but if you hadn't heard, that's complete. The England international on his way to Germany. Those of you old enough to remember will recall when another fairly famous English striker did that in the 1970s, a chap called Kevin Keegan, who went to SV Hamburg at a time when it was even rarer for British players to go abroad. But I think he might be the first English international to go to Germany since Keegan. I mean, I know we've had Bellingham playing there, but obviously he was in the England setup already, I think. But
I think in terms of attacking players, I think there's only three I can remember. Obviously Bellingham, as a youngster, went to Dortmund, but Tony Woodcock went just after Kevin Keegan. I think that was around about 1979-80.
Was that Cologne he went to?
Yeah, went from, I think, Forest to Cologne.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But there's not been a lot of, in terms of big name players who have made that transition, and particularly forwards. And it's a bit surprising because, the German style of football is more akin to the English game, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I would have thought there'd be a lot more transition between the two countries. But now, in terms of strikers, there's not been that a great deal.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure. But as you say, Harry Kane, £100 million deal on his way to Bayern Munich, or signed for Bayern this afternoon. by the looks of it. 72.5 minutes gone here at Dean Court / the Vitality Stadium. Delete as appropriate. It's Bournemouth 0, West Ham United 1. The only goal of the game so far coming from Jared Bowen 6 minutes after the restart. Fantastic finish, whipping one in with his left foot into the left-hand post with Neto left grasping at thin air. Couldn't get anywhere near it. It's the only goal of the game. Bournemouth have, of course, come close. They've hit the bar in the second half, but West Ham did hit the bar in the first half as well. The Hammers definitely deserving to be in front so far. Quick look at the match stats. Bournemouth 62% possession to West Ham's 38 so far. Bournemouth 8 shots, 4 on target. West Ham 14 shots, 3 on target. 9 corners for Bournemouth, 3 for West Ham. Now, Mickey Antonio looks to get West Ham away. I'm not quite sure what he's done there. I think he's looking for Emerson. He's just passed the ball into touch. Yeah, not really been in the game at all, is he? Mickey Antonio obviously booked Rio, but we haven't really seen. We haven't seen the best of him. We haven't really seen anything of him today, have we?
No, I think his game was kind of summed up on the top when Thomas Souček hit the post early on, because the ball bounced out, and it bounced out at such an angle that Mickey Antonio was following up, but he was about inches away from being putting us 1-0 up. And he's been inches away and just off the ball in general. You know, he's held the ball up reasonably well in the first half, but he's kind of evaporated from the game in the second.
Bournemouth have a free kick about 35 yards from goal. There's been another goal in the Premier League. We'll come back to that in just a minute. After this free kick is taken, it's dead central. West Ham players lining up on the edge of the box. It's delivered to the edge of the box, nodded on by Solanke, but it's gone straight out for a West Ham. Sorry, by Philip, not Solanke. And it's gone straight out for a West Ham goal kick. Looks like Bournemouth might have to get back onto the training ground and do a bit more practice on these set pieces, because there's 2 or 3 now where they've clearly worked on them, but not one of them has come off so far. I do hope I'm not jinxing it. I'm going to touch a bit of wood here, just in case. Another goal in the Premier League. It has come. I was going to say the Goldstone Ground for a minute there. It's not the Goldstone Ground anymore. It's the Amex Stadium. And it's the home team that have scored again. Solly Marks put Brighton ahead in the 36th minute against new Premier League newcomers. Luton and João Pedro has just scored a second from the penalty box to make it 2-0. Looks like it's going to be a comfortable home win for the home side. Aarons and Brooks are off now for the home side. And Hill and Semenyo are on for Bournemouth. That's substitutes 4 and 5, I think, Rio, for the Cherries.
Yeah. I'm quite surprised Brooks has gone off, because he's been the brightest spark on the pitch today.
Absolutely.
He's a very, very good player. Now, and it's one of the heartwarming tales of the Premiership, isn't it? After all the hassle he's had over the past. But yeah, he's probably the best player on the pitch. It's actually probably to our benefit that he's actually departed.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I've got to say, I'm surprised. I agree totally. I think he's been there by far and away their most threatening player so far. Pretty much everything they've had in terms of, ball in the final third has come through him. So I'm surprised at that. But obviously the new manager there wanting to switch it up and see if it will make a difference. Why not? 76 minutes gone. Still no sign of any substitutions from West Ham on David Moyes with 14 minutes of normal time left to go. Bournemouth, as we were just saying, have made 5 subs so far. Now, this is interesting. We have this year on the Premier League results and fixtures page that I use, which is available via Google. We have a live win probability. Now, anyone who's been watching the cricket, the Ashes, of course, this season will have seen that there's a very similar thing, which seems absolutely bizarre. I can see Rio nodding his head there. It seemed to be all over the place, that. I'm not quite sure how they figured out. But anyway, we've got one for the Premier League now, and I can tell you that according to the live win probability for Bournemouth versus West Ham, Bournemouth have only, I was just about to say they have a 4% chance of, that's dangerous. This is dangerous. Kurt Zuma manages to clear it out. Ball hiked into West Ham's 6-yard box, nodded down, but Kurt Zuma managed to get there first and clear it away. Bournemouth, a second ago, they had a 4% chance of being winners today, according to the live win probability. That's gone down to 3% now. It's 19% for a draw and 78% for West Ham. Rio, that seems a bit generous to me, given there's still 30 minutes plus added time to go.
Not in favour of this new innovation from the Premier League. In cricket, it kind of works because the game ebbs and flows. There's a lot more kind of tactical possibility, and it's a slower pace, obviously. Anyone who's seen the West Ham playing their propensity for throwing away leads and letting 3 goals on in 2 minutes, like we're quite capable of, right? That is just a nonsense stat and a nonsense piece of software algorithm, which, you know, whoever's incorporated that into official kind of, into the actual internet. Anyone putting that kind of concept on the internet wants their heads caved in. That is an awful bit of innovation.
Yeah, well, we'll watch that. We'll keep an eye on it. See, guys, Bournemouth are up to 4% now, by the way. I don't quite know what happened to make the algorithm believe that they're worth an extra percent. But West Ham have made their first change of the afternoon. It's Mickey Antonio. No surprise, really, to see Mickey Antonio go off. He's not really been involved an awful lot today. But it's not Divine Mubama who's coming. It's Danny Ings making his bow for the new season, Rio. Any surprise at that one?
I'm a little bit, because Ings doesn't hold the ball up as well, and he's not got that physical kind of presence that like Mubama would have given us. Yeah, I understand he's a little bit raw and he's a little bit, you know, he's just at the start of his footballing career. But you know, if we're going to get a chance, right, you'd put your money on Danny Ings having a better chance of the goal and putting the ball away if you get an opportunity in the area. But I'm just surprised that the stage of the game we're at and needing that kind of physical presence to hold the ball up, that he has gone to Ings.
Yeah, me too. But well, we'll see. We'll see if he proves to be right. Let's just have another look at.
There's that probability 5% now. Ings has come on.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on that. There's been another goal in the Premier League. It's come at Goodison Park. This one won't go down well with the home fans because Bobby de Cordova-Reid, if I recall correctly, missed that most horrendous penalty against West Ham a couple of years ago. Has scored for the visitors. It's Everton 0, Fulham 1 after 73 minutes. And that has seen Everton's live win probability go down to 5% compared to Fulham's at 72. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine what it's going to be like up there, Rio, if you're a Blues fan this afternoon, you know, after all that aggro they've had the last 2 seasons to open the new campaign with a home defeat, Fulham. Not going to go down well, is it?
It's not going to go down well at all. Obviously, they're not exactly being overly active in the transfer market themselves to kind of bolster the squad and trying to push up the table. And, you know, it's a club. Is it next year to move into the new stadium?
I think it might well be. Yeah, well, it's definitely in the next year or two.
They're a club who desperately needs to stay in the top flight. And but as you rightly pointed out earlier on what Terence Brand said, it's everyone's turn at some point. And Everton are perennial strugglers over the last 3 or 4 seasons, and it could be their year.
Yeah. Well, Craven Moorhead certainly agrees with you. Craven saying that Everton have dominated this game, but hopefully they finally get the relegation they deserve. So it doesn't look like there's an awful lot of sympathy amongst West Ham fans for the plight of the Toffees. But obviously it's a long way to go. But not the greatest start so far. Could be the greatest start for West Ham if we can hang on for another 9 minutes or so. It's still 1-0. We're into the 82nd minute of the game. Bournemouth have made 5 substitutions. West Ham just the one. Danny Ings coming on for Mickey Antonio. 2 or 3 minutes ago, the only goal of the game so far coming from Jarrod Bowen in the 51st minute. Decent goal for West Ham, really good goal, and good to see so many people involved in the build-up. But Bournemouth really beginning to apply some pressure now, looking for this equaliser. The ball played out on the right-hand side. They have the ball inside West Ham's half, into the final third now. And the shot's going to come in. Oh, this is terrible. This is terribly dangerous. They're going to score. They've equalised. Ah. And I think it's Naifa Gerd who's going to be held culpable for that one. Ah. And I think it's Solanke who's put the ball. He's taken the ball round Areola and just tucked it into an empty net. But the shot that led to it was a complete mishit. And I have to have another look at this, but I think it rebounded off the heel of Naifa Gerd and just straight into the path of Solanke. Let's have another look at this. It's a complete mishit. And Gerd's just flicked out an ankle and not really got a proper connection on the ball, but it's put it straight into the path. Sorry, it's not a Gerd, is it? It's Tommy Souček. It's gone straight into the path of Solanke, who's just gone round the advancing Areola and tucked it into an empty net. You can't really blame the goalkeeper for that. Rio, so close. Got to go and do it all again now.
Yeah, and that's a typical West Ham goal concede, isn't it? Something just going technically very slightly awry, bouncing off someone in the wrong way. And it's a tidy finish by Solanke, but a goal that Bournemouth really didn't deserve. And it's all that kind of exuberance we kind of regained ourselves. It's gone, and it dissipated straight away. And that makes a mockery of that bloody technical win probability thing and all, doesn't it?
Well, Lucas Paxal's played the ball into the box. West Ham looking to retake the lead into Danny Ings. I think he might have won a corner there. I think he's shot on the turn from just the right-hand side of the 6-yard box. I think it's taken deflection. It's gone out for a corner. But West Ham responding well anyway. But yeah, as Rio says, should we have a look and see what it says now? What does it read now? I can't find it now. Where are we? Bournemouth, West Ham. Bournemouth up to 15%. West Ham down from 77 to 17 and a draw, 68%. But anyway, West Ham have a corner. Let's see if we can grab a goal. Jarrod Bowen, he's caused a lot of problems with his corners so far. 3 decent corners. West Ham have got to them first every time. In it comes again. A Gerd goes up, keeper not happy with it. But Bournemouth managed to clear their lines just. But West Ham have got the ball back now. Here's Ben Rama. What can he do with it? Looks to get Emerson down the line now. Can Emerson get a crossing? He can. Near post. And it's fallen to Paquetá. What's happened there? What's happened there? Well, I think the ball's hit Danny Ings. The cross from Emerson seemed to hit Danny Ings. And it's then fallen to Paquetá, who's had a shot. I'm not convinced it didn't hit Danny Ings on its way goal bound and go out for a goal kick. Let's have another look at this, see if we can take this apart. Emerson plays it to the post. Yeah, Danny Ings has sort of gone to header it. It's half cleared. No, and Paquetá's shot was wide anyway. I think it did hit Ings on the way through. But yeah, could have done with a real striker there, Rio, when that ball was played in.
Yeah, we saw the best Danny Ings a minute ago, false in the corner. And we just seen, well, I won't say the worst, but it was just, he lacked the physical strength to kind of stay on his feet and get back there. And yeah, you would have put your money normally on Paquetá to put down the back of the net, but
yeah, or at least hit the target from 12 yards.
Anyone else apart from him or Jarrod Bowen, you would have been a bit doubtful. But those two players, if they'd have fought on them, you normally would have put your house in it. But that's why I'm borderline homeless.
I should stress, I've just seen a replay of the incident from the other angle. Paquetá actually hits the post. The shot comes in and it's not Ings, it's hit the post. So very, very unlucky. West Ham hitting the woodwork for the second time. Did we not hit the woodwork 2 or 3 times at Forest on the opening away day last season, Ria? I'm pretty sure we did.
I think we did, yeah. We kind of got undone because we did look a bit of a mess. But I thought it was unfortunate to lose that game. But yeah, I'm sure we did hit the woodwork on a couple of occasions that day.
There's been a change for West Ham. Just checking to see. I think it's Kara for Fornells, which would seem a strange one. Have I perhaps missed one? Is there a second change? Let me know, Rio, if you see anything there. Brighton have scored 3rd. Luton have also scored. There's goals going in everywhere down at the Amex. Carlton Morris made it 2-1 from the penalty spot, but Adingra made it 3-1 to Brighton with 5 minutes left to go. So it looks like that one's going to be a home win. Everton's still losing 1-0 at home to Fulham. Sheffield United still a goal down to Palace. And the only game that's still level at the moment is Bournemouth versus West Ham. Bournemouth just equalising in the 83rd minute through Solanke. West Ham have 4 minutes to see if we can grab a winning goal. Substitutions, Rio. I've got Kara for Fornells. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to look it up.
Yeah, it was.
I've not found it for definite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, it's a strange one, isn't it? We've just seen Emerson booked, by the way, for a late tackle. Let's have another look at this. It's a poor ball from West Ham, and it's a cynical trip, I think you could say, by Emerson on number 24, Semenyo. So that's the 3rd West Ham player in the referee's notebook this afternoon, following Jarrod Bowen and Mickey Antonio. Bournemouth with a free kick. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Strange decision to make. Take off a midfielder and put an extra defender unless they're perhaps going 5 at the back. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah, that's the only thing I think, going 5 at the back. But where does that leave you in terms of trying to eke out another goal, which could potentially win the game? I understand why you want to protect what you've got, but I'd still like to be going for the win.
Bournemouth with the ball just to the right of West Ham's penalty box. West Ham can't get it clear at the moment. Bournemouth certainly looking to try and grab a second themselves. Still to the right of the box. Danny Ings closes it down, does well, verts the danger, but Bournemouth still have the ball, still on the edge of West Ham's box now. Paquetá does well to win the ball, gets it clear to Ben Rama, looks to play it inside to Tommy Souček, can't quite keep the ball, and Bournemouth regain possession. This is dangerous. Number 24 has a crack off of Zuma, I think. Zuma gets in the way. Still the ball with Bournemouth. We're now in the last 2 minutes, delivered to the far post. Big man, Moore gets up, headed on. Souček gets under it to get it clear. Still in West Ham's box, but Areola now goes and grabs the ball. Ball spending a lot of time in the air there. 90 seconds of normal time left to go. West Ham hanging on just a little bit now, which is a little bit disappointing, given that we were kind of just 8 minutes or so away from our first 3 points of the season. Still could do it, of course. Much depends on how much added time we're going to get. And if we're looking at the 30 seconds per substitute rule, I think we've had 1, 2, that's 8, I think, substitutes so far. Rio, is that right? 5 for Bournemouth, 3 for us?
Yeah, looks it. 3 bookings, obviously time out for goal celebration. So I think you're looking at you should be looking at 7 or 8 minutes under the new rules.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Of course, we was expecting a bit more at half time, but only got the 1 minute. But of course, there's been a lot more happening in the second half. Now, Ben Rama gets the byline. Can he keep the ball in? He can't. It'll be a goal kick for Bournemouth. Really not been at, I mean, you said it earlier, Rio. I'm surprised to see him on this. I thought Max Cornet would have been on by now.
Yeah, I just think Max Cornet's pace, a little bit more directness. Ben Rama's just not really kind of featured, is he? I think he had 1 or 2 moments where he's been in the game, but apart from that, he's been largely anonymous. And a couple of seasons ago, when he wasn't the Moyes favourite, he would have been the first person to be hooked.
Yeah. But still there. He's going to get 90 minutes under his belt by the looks of things. Well, he will get 90 minutes under his belt because we've only got about 15 seconds of the 90. Let's go. Just waiting for an indication. The fourth official has got the board in his hand, waiting for him to hold it up. And it's probably going to go. No, he's put it down again. So we're going to have to wait just a minute before we find out how many minutes are added on. Bournemouth with the ball on the halfway line. Played long down into the channel. It's Moore again. That big lump. Looks to get a crossover. Can't. It's blocked by Agard and put out for a corner. So Bournemouth will no doubt send the big man forward. 6 minutes added on, Rio. Good shout then. You're pretty much spot on.
That's the first time we've been spot on for ages, mate. No, it's we're a little bit under the cost now, and this is a worry.
Yeah.
You can understand why kind of Moyes has, like I said, trying to protect the point, but potentially you might have had eyes on the set pieces and brought on Kehrer to offer that little bit more height and a little bit more defensive capability. But I still think this game is there to be won as well. So, I'd rather go for the win than sit back and soak up pressure even more.
Corner drifted to the far post where Alphonso Areola goes up unchallenged to claim it. Looks to get players away early, but there's nothing really on. So he's going to just hold play up, puts the ball on the deck and takes a long kick anyway. And West Ham concede possession. It's back with Soufal. And Souček just hikes one up in the air to no one in particular. And Danny Ings is offside. That's the really frustrating aspect. And it's been a feature of West Ham for the last couple of years, in fact, quite a lot of the time under Moyes, is that you see those situations, you just want to get the ball down, start playing it, and just hike it forward, hope, just get it away aimlessly. Doesn't really get us anywhere.
Particularly we haven't got the likes of Antonio up there to kind of that bit of muscle and a bit of power to try and get the ball and hold on to it and bring other players into play. It just seems pointless, doesn't it? It's a waste of time.
It's actually an interesting point because I think we didn't really sort of get involved an awful lot since Antonio went off. It's almost as if Bournemouth have been had that added impetus to push on a bit more and leave a bit more space at the back with Ings there. They're pushing forward now anyway in the 3rd minute of added on time. 20 yards from West Ham's goal. Ball played out onto the right hand side. Still there. Emerson comes across to guard the danger. Now it's Ben Rama comes off still with the ball. Bournemouth is going to be delivered into the box. It's an aimless delivery, though, and it's gone straight out for a West Ham goal kick. What about the game as a whole? We're not really been spoilt for quality, have we? It's been sort of pretty attritional stuff. Dare I say it, not much different from what we saw last year from West Ham?
I think the word to put in there is a little bit, from our point of view especially, is frustrating. It's been a summer of frustration since the final whistle blew in early June. Yep. And this game is kind of the complete antithesis of this, isn't it? Because, you know,
yep.
What we've seen us going into the league with a great strike, probably the best bit of football we've played. And we've conceded to a preventable goal, a little bit of misfortune going against us again. And but since then, we've looked a bit clueless. We haven't looked like we've got any kind of idea how to get their way back into the game and get in front. Taking off Antonio, yeah, we was calling for that ourselves, but bringing on a more like-for-like substitution in Obama, as we all know, we keep going on about it. He's young, he's raw, he's this. But he does offer that bigger physical presence up front, which would occupy the defenders. Instead, we've got Danny Ings, and the ball is coming back a lot quicker than it should be. And as you say, it's kind of giving Bournemouth the impetus.
West Ham have made another substitution number 9. It is Max Cornet coming on, but it's not Saïd Benrahma going off. It's Lucas Paquetá, which again is we've taken Fornals and Paquetá off, who I think we're probably our you could arguably say we're our best 2 players in the game.
Yeah, and they certainly offer that potential killer through ball from midfield. And you're looking now, who's going to give that bit of magic and that bit of inspiration? Because you're looking around that side at the moment, you're thinking, well, Thomas Souček's going to offer nothing other than a threat from the set pieces. Danny struggles to hold the ball up.
Go on.
Drives and balls in behind the defence. As does Mackerel Cornet, using pace and their footballing experience to try and get in behind defenders and fire home, which don't like they've got that ability to do. But we've got no one now who can play that pass.
Well, we've just seen Cornet involved in the penalty box. I think he was just offside anyway. Ball was played into him by Danny Ings, and for some inexplicable reason, he decided to throw himself to the ground under absolutely no challenge whatsoever. It was pretty disappointing to see. But the referee and the officials wise to it, and they've given a free kick to the home side. Disappointing because he was offside anyway, so it wouldn't have counted. But it would have been nice to see him stand up and at least try and have an effort on goal rather than just hurl himself to the floor, particularly theatrically. We're in the final of the 6 minutes added on now. It's still Bournemouth 1, West Ham United 1. Looks like the Hammers are going to have to settle for a point on this opening game of the season. I suppose, we could, in one sense, argue that last year, our opening game, we lost to Forest. So this is an improvement. But then I suppose you could argue, Rio, that we won 4-0 here last season in the league. So looking at it that way, it could be slightly disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to factor in other things as well. I mean, the mood around the camp since June has been obviously a lot less exuberant, a lot less buoyant. There's been a lot of upheaval on and off the pitch, and there's been a lot of doom and gloom firing about the place. So maybe a point is a fair result because, we didn't really kind of get a grip of the game after we got the goal. We didn't really go for the second and go for the jugular. We kind of sat back. I think the substitutions have been wrong. It's handed the ball back, the game back into kind of Bournemouth's hands. And it was an unfortunate goal to concede. It just sums up the mood around the camp at the moment. It's disappointing, isn't it?
It certainly is. Certainly is. Now, I think we might have just seen another, Mepham, not Cliver, has gone into the book. We're in the 97th minute now. I think that was for a foul on Benrahma, I believe. West Ham in absolutely no hurry to take this, which would offer the impression that we're happy with the point here. It's taken long, and referees had enough. 96 minutes, 43 seconds. And that's the final whistle. It has finished. AFC Bournemouth 1, West Ham United 1. The Hammers did lead, having scored the opening goal of the game, the 51st minute. Jared Bowen, a wonderful finish, whipping a shot from the edge of the box into the top left-hand corner. But the home side managing to eke a point out of the game with an 83rd minute equalizer. It was a very, very fortunate goal for the hosts, a completely mishit shot, cannoned off the ankle of Tommy Souček, straight into the path of Solanke, who had the natural position to go round Areola and tuck the ball into an empty net. Areola, perhaps you could say, committed himself rather, but I don't think there's much you could have done about it really. But you know, but we do say that, Rio. But of course, you know, you come back to this thing about, you know, if they haven't got the ball, they can't score, right? And we don't seem to like playing with the ball an awful lot.
No, we don't like to play that way at all. And David Moyes doesn't like to set up that way. It just leads to, believe me, we've got great players who've got the ability to hold the ball up and pass the ball and work with it. And we spend most of our time kind of chasing shadows and letting the opposition dictate the play. There's got to be a sea change at some point. There's got to be a change of approach, I think, is the most politest way to put it. Because, you know, you can't keep doing this week in, week out and expect A, to keep fans happy, B, expect results to keep flowing in on a positive basis every single week. And we don't seem to have the players available to us who like to take the game by the scruff of the neck. And that's the biggest worry for me. We've got a great footballer in Lucas Paquetá who could be and should be dictating play, but we're too busy letting the opposition do that to us, and we respond to their questions rather than the other way around.
Yeah, it has finished 1-1. Let's have a quick look at the match stats. Bournemouth 63% possession. I no doubt a lot of people hone in on this particular aspect of the statistics. In my view, there's too much emphasis placed on it, but people like to use it as a barometer of West Ham's performances, I guess. 63% possession to Bournemouth, 37% to West Ham, 14 shots, 5 on target for the host, 16 shots, 3 on target for West Ham, 10 corners for Bournemouth, 4 for West Ham. Bournemouth conceding 8 fouls and West Ham 14. And the XG score, Bournemouth 1.27 to West Ham's at 1.4. So West Ham still creating slightly the better. I mean, it's minimal, but West Ham creating the better chances just about. But that's the way it's finished. Jarrod Bowen scored West Ham's first goal. A couple of stats for you about his performance today. 48 touches all in all, 6 aerial duels won, 5 ground duels won, 3 out of 5 crosses completed, 3 out of 5 dribbles completed, made 3 key passes, 1 big chance created, and 1 goal. I get the feeling we'll be hard pushed to see a better goal than that in the Premier League this weekend, though, Rio. Yeah,
it's a fantastic strike. And I think he was our best player. Offered a lot of threat down the flank, went into more central positions at times and looked more of a attacking threat than Mikel Antonio did the entire game. It's a fantastic strike. Gave us really good delivery from set pieces as well. And, you know, it is a frustrating day at the office, but Jarrod Bowen probably comes out as our shining light out of it.
Yep, for sure. I mean, of course, let's not forget, you know, we may be all slightly disappointed here at West Ham not being able to hang on and take all 3 points, but we did hit the woodwork a couple of times as well. It's a very, very similar situation to last season, that opening away day at the City Ground against Forest, where we just, you know, we probably could have played for a month of Sundays and not scored again. But this time it was Tommy Souček after 15 minutes who hit the post with a shot across the penalty box from an Emerson pass. And then just 2 minutes, in fact, after Bournemouth equalised, Lucas Paquetá hit the woodwork from about 10 or 11 yards. But Rio, I think you and I both felt he should have hit the target with that effort from such close range.
Yeah, a player of his quality and player of his calibre really should be hitting it. Maybe the ball come at him a bit unexpectedly, but, you know, you still got to fancy that a player of his technical ability, his awareness should be at the races and thinking nothing else but putting out the ball in the top corner and us walking away with a victory. But it's a bit indicative of the day, wasn't it? You know, we did all right, but we're just not at that level where we look like we're really going to take that game by the scruff neck and like romp away with it.
Should mention, of course, that Rothwell also hit the bar for the home side on 65 minutes. So there was a few efforts that rebounded off the woodwork. Plenty of material for the guy who does the West Ham videos on Twitter. He likes a post, doesn't he? But you know, it's an interesting one. I'm just looking at some of the comments coming through on social media, and it seems to be I don't. There's something not quite right about the West Ham fan base at the moment. Opening day of the season, away from home, take a point. Not the worst result. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to have a win, but I think that's a pretty decent way to start the campaign. Everyone seems to be really, really despondent and disappointed. West Ham have dropped 2 points. Oh, Moyes ball will never win. Load of rubbish. Fans are making it hard work for the team as well, aren't they, Rio, this year?
Yeah, I think there's a toxicity around the social media aspect of club support, which will never be happy. They're always looking for the negatives rather than the positives. And with David Moyes, it's like a dog with a bone, isn't it? It's something for them to grasp hold of and pick at and drive him running through the mill. And I don't think, unless he actually departs the club, that they'll ever be happy. And even then, they'll just move on to somebody else or another aspect and pick at the bones of that.
Yeah.
I just think it's a bit rich of us to say it, isn't it? Because we're out here putting ourselves in the public eye, doing the social media led feed.
Yep.
But I like to think that at least we're a little bit kind of more pragmatic about things, a bit realistic. We look at things from both sides of the table. We're not completely anti-Moyes. We're not completely pro-Moyes. Then I think we're fair and balanced. And a lot of the social media outlets out there regarding our club are far from that. They're far from being honest. They're far from being kind of objective. They're far from being realistic at times. And the more these kind of outlets kind of stir the pot and make things worse for those on the pitch and those who are managing the club, we're never going to progress, because there's always that air of negativity. And eventually that will filter into the ground. It'd be interesting if we do have time to hang on in case no more Pinky can join us, to see what the fans' reaction was inside the ground.
Yeah.
If not, we have to relay when they get onto the forum later. But you know, quite often the away fans are the barometer, and we haven't heard anything negative from them. But yeah, it's the toxicity on social media surrounding the club at the moment. It's holding us back in some respects.
Yeah, I mean, I've made my feelings clear on the KUMB forum this week about what I feel about the toxicity of some sections of the fan base. And, you know, people have called it Spursy, whatever you call it, but I don't like it. I'd like to see the fans get behind the team at the start of the season, regardless of what's happening. You know, we all know where the problems lie. But it's just, you know, it's almost like there's a large contingent of supporters' willingness to do badly. That's how it seems to me. Anyway, it's almost as if to kind of validate their opinion. But anyway, we're not going into that now, because one of the chaps you just mentioned is with us. I can just see Gnome's head bobbling about there. Let's see if we can drop him in the middle. There he is. We'll put you there now. We'll put you over the bench. How you doing, buddy? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad at all. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you perfectly, my friend.
Never mind.
Rio was just asking what the you know, he was very interested to see what the view of the away fans was today. As Rio was just saying, that's, you know, it's always a good barometer of the supporters as a whole. What was the reaction to the draw today?
Well, big disappointment. What happened was there was about 15 minutes from the end, we switched off. And we just sat back deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
And we ended up drawing a game that really should have been there for the taking. I sort of caught the end of what you were saying there about toxicity.
Yeah.
I think the disappointment or whatever amongst the away support is purely gauged on that, on today's game, that it was, sorry, just crossing the road. You know, it was a game that was there for the taking, and because we just sat deep and we threw that away, 2 points there. So whether or not, the mood changed the longer we were sitting back like that. I mean, the rest of the game, it was, you know, it was fine while we were playing well and attacking. So whether or not you can read anything wider into that, probably not at this stage of the season. But Yeah, it's very disappointing. It's 2 points, definitely 2 points thrown away rather than one game there.
Okay, interesting. I mean, of course, we were quite unfortunate. Again, I mean, you know, you and I were at Forest last year on the opening away game of the season.
Yeah.
That ridiculously hot day.
Yeah.
But it's similar in some ways, wasn't it? We hit the post a couple of times. Souček in the first half, Paquetá in the second half. Of course, they hit the post as well. But it's kind of a lot of similarities to that game for me. But of course, we didn't lose today. And it's not ideal. When you're leading with 7 minutes to go, you'd expect to go on and win. But the fact is, we've come out, and people say, oh, it's only Bournemouth and that, but it's Bournemouth on the opening day of the season. That they're full of optimism. The fans are full of hope, and for the new campaign. It's never easy to go away on the opening day, and we've come away with a point. So should we perhaps be celebrating that a bit more, or at least giving it a bit more?
I mean, in the wider context of it, just as a sort of bare stat, an away point on the first game of the season is something you'd not normally sniff at, would you? But I think it's the manner that it happened. It's yes, on the one hand, an away point, first game of the season, unbeaten, only 2 points off the top. It just annoys a little bit that we really should have had 3 there.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else to report from the away end this afternoon? Any mishaps or humorous scenes that took place that you can share with us? Did you fall over today or anything?
No, not yet. But I've still got 5 minutes. There's a hell of a lot of stuff in the pub that I chose to watch the women's game in. A lot of it not probably broadcastable. But let's just say it's not one of the classier choices. I mean, the more principal bit is sort of, I was in there for about quarter of an hour ago with the ladies game, and then walked a woman in a way who was.
We're losing you, Noam. Sorry, you're cutting out.
Probably a bit windy here. That'd be better.
Got you now. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last thing we really heard was you talking about the pub, and then you sort of.
Yeah. Well, one of the more printable bits was women walked in wearing a wedding dress, and it turns out that today was due to be a wedding day, but the bride to whom she'd been fianced had basically disappeared and took all her money, so it wasn't happening. So she was going around pub to pub intent on getting as completely out of the tree as possible. Well, that was one of the more broadcastable bits.
Right.
I think personally they made mention of it. There was some very funny stuff going on in there. But made much use before Havisham got around to propositioning me. I think she was trying to go through every bloke in the pub at one point, sort of making them offers they could easily refuse.
Outrageous.
Yeah. That was quite funny. But there's also, of course, obviously it's made its appearance pre-season, I presume, but the infinitely more acceptable chant about running around Tottenham, only this time with a cup, made its league debut today, which is quite amusing. We've got to come up with a slightly more accurate chant for being champions of Europe, because you can't fit one with conferencing, can you? It doesn't really scan, but too
many syllables.
Yeah, so I mean, long period, about 70 minutes of that game, looked quite good, quite comfortable, good going forward, and then we stopped going forward.
Yeah.
I don't know if Pinky's going to try and get on. He must be somewhere near me, but I'll let him tell you about Ben Rama, because it wasn't one of his better games, shall we say.
Yeah, we were actually surprised, Rio and I, that he was still on the pitch to the end.
I'd have brought Cornet on for him.
Yeah, that was the suggestion here as well. Cornet was ready to go.
there was some good work in the build up to the goal. You know, but Souček played well. I thought had a good game. Perhaps reveling in the sort of newfound freedom of not having. Can't remember the guy's name. I was playing alongside him beforehand. But
No idea.
yeah, I'm just looking forward to an announcement that he's up to Man City at the end of the season, as having won the Charity Shield with Arsenal, he's taken as far as it can go.
Well, let's look ahead briefly, chaps. Rio doesn't get any easier for West Ham. First London derby of the season. Next weekend, Sunday, of course, is the game. We're at home to Chelsea. Now, does only taking a point today put any more importance on that game? You know, do we need to win that one? I mean, you know, it seems silly to talk about needing to win games at this stage of the season, but of course, as we know from recent seasons when we've really done well after a strong start, and last season when we were terrible, it does matter. Those first 3 or 4 games really sets your stall out for the coming campaign, doesn't it? So how important is it that we get off to a decent home start against the Blues?
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of exuberance going around the ground next week. I think there'll be displaying the aforementioned trophy before the game. Obviously, a London derby, there'll be a little bit more edge to it. And, the whole transfer business has kind of tempered a lot of the optimism over the last couple of months. But I think next week will be a bit more fire in the bellies in terms of the players, there'll be a bit more fire in the belly in terms of the crowds. And, we've got a point to prove. There's a few players out there who've got a lot of stepping up to do. Got to take things by the scruff of the neck and actually go at Chelsea. So I'm a bit more hopeful about next week.
Noam, Chelsea at home?
Yeah, I mean, they have to play better than they did in periods, the last 20 minutes of today, for example. But, I mean, it's home game, crowd up for it. Always a bit more of an edge. And, I'm looking forward to it anyway. I mean, maybe lesson learned from this week. I think they play tonight, aren't they? Are they Chelsea? Is it tonight or tomorrow?
I think it's tomorrow, isn't it? Got Liverpool
tomorrow. Yeah. So, let's see how they come out of that game, and maybe they'll be the ones who are a little bit demoralised or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Chaps, we're going to leave it there because we've got to push on.
Nearly at the car as well. So
good timing. It has finished. Bournemouth 1, West Ham United 1. The Hammers took the lead in the 51st minute, then just kind of sat back and invited Bournemouth on, and the inevitable equalizer arrived 7 minutes before the end of time when Solanke rounded Areola to earn a point for the home side. Not the worst start for West Ham, not the best. Could have won, but I guess to come away from the opening day of the season away from home unbeaten could certainly be worse. Tough game next week at Chelsea. Join us for that one again soon. Until then, take care, my friends. Come on, you irons.